I didn't. Hold on.
Yeah.
We're live now. We're live. I'll send you the link.
Thank you.
So,
yeah,
I'll send you the link. We're here live, and I have my best friend from, high school.
20 years plus.
20 years plus.
20 years plus.
He's the former world boxing champion.
Oh, I can go now?
Yep.
What's going on? What's going on, everybody? I'm still waiting on I'm still waiting on Jeet to send me the link, even though we're live. See, y'all call her Jeet, I call it Jeet.
I don't know if it's working because the
Listen.
is showing.
Welcome to Chai High with our Jeet, featuring the one and only Jamel Semper Herring. How's everybody doing today? So what are we speaking on?
Wait,
Show.
I'm sending you the link.
See, I'm supposed to have had this link days ago.
Okay, so there you go. Twitter, Jamel Herring. Instagram, Jamel Herring. He is the former world boxing champion. World boxing champion. And welcome to Jaw Time with Realtor Jeet. It's so nice to have you. One of the my pleasure. Thank you. And it is an honor. It's such an honor to have you here, and we're going to have a great conversation because one of the things that I love talking about, or actually sharing value to people who are watching, is leadership skills and things that can help someone. If something you say today can help somebody better themselves for tomorrow, then this show has accomplished the mission of helping someone. And you are someone who is inspiring. You are humble, and you know what you want, and you go after it, and you get it. You've always been like that since high school. So like I said, back in 2003, Jamel had we graduated high school. You went straight to the Marine Corps.
Mm-hmm.
And then you fought for a country, and through that you built your leadership. And it's such an honor and pleasure to see you build your leadership through the years in your service, and go into the Olympic Games and showing your leadership through there as well. And while you were doing that, simultaneously you were building your boxing career and went pro.
Yeah.
And then won the World Boxing Champion, and just recently retired.
Yep. Still young. Still young. Retired, still young.
Yeah, you retired. You're not even 40 yet. You're 36. 36 years old, retired, and your story is just starting. And this is why I am so honored, and it's a pleasure to have you here, Jamel. I would love for you to start with what got you into, and I know this is way back in high school when you started boxing, but what got you into boxing?
Wow, it's crazy. What got me into boxing? I would like to give a special shout out to one of our gym teachers from high school, Mr. Art Miller. Mr. Art Miller is what actually motivated me to get into boxing because I had gotten in trouble in school, and I got kicked out the track team because of Coach Miller. I got kicked out the track team. Coach Miller is my guy. We still talk today, of course. But I didn't want to be out there in the streets, so I decided to find something, recreation I could do outside of school. Because I couldn't do track at the time. So one of my close friends, Mr. Shanti Hendrickson, who I still speak to today, he introduced me to boxing. And that's how I got started. That's how I got started with boxing. And it was just something at one point in time just to keep me busy. But then I just fell in love with the sport and I just stuck with it. When I was young, I used to be a fan of boxing. I mean, I am a fan of boxing, so I used to watch it a lot when I was a kid. But I didn't even think about ever, joining into the sport. If anything, I thought it was gonna be basketball, track, something that use my legs. Of course, you boxing use your legs, but like I was more of a runner and just athletic in that dynamic. But that's how I got into boxing. And obviously, I think this is around 2001. So if you really look at it, the bulk of my boxing, experience really came from when I enlisted into the Marine Corps, and that's when I had gained most of my like I said, knowledge and skill, which eventually got me to the 2012 Olympic team. And not to mention also, I was the team captain of the Marine Corps team. I was the team captain of the my U.S. Olympic team, and I still speak with those individuals today. Because, like you said, it's about leadership. Like for me, it doesn't stop. It didn't stop when I was in active duty. It didn't stop after I left the Olympics. Till this day, I could pick up my phone and I'll still check on all of my Olympic teammates and see how they're doing, not just within the sport, but with life as a whole. And that's what leadership qualities taught me in the Marine Corps. Not only just to be a good leader for the mission, but just to be someone that people can console to and talk to in life, outside of the office or the gym or wherever. Just to have a one-on-one conversation. Because you and I, we'll have one-on-one conversations and just feed off each other's ideas and pick each other's brains and see how we've been doing in the past few weeks or so.
That's beautiful. You're right, because you were just saying earlier we were masterminding
right
the webcam and how to work with that. And what I was doing,
and just for saying that, I need everyone out there to tell me if my camera is like clearer than hers over here, because I had to fix mine. I'm trying to give her a class on the cameras, but it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, I don't know who's I'm clear on my end.
I'm clear on mine.
I had your book. It's not here. I have your book that you was talking about leadership on. What? And you've always been like that. You've always been a leader in high school. And one of the qualities that you have that allow you to be a leader, or that make you a leader, is that you have this an innate natural ability to genuinely listen to people when they talk.
Right.
And I think, I don't know what's going on with my light.
I don't know, you messing with stuff over there, Jeet.
Talking about camera and stuff. Hold on. My lighting went messed up. This is funny. This is going to be a funny one.
Look. Yeah, exactly. Messing up. This is why we're tight, though. This is why we're tight. Look.
So anyway, I know, and I couldn't get on Facebook because I don't know, this thing messed up on Facebook. So we're on YouTube and LinkedIn right now. And then I'm going to post this up on Facebook later and Twitter.
Okay.
I don't know how it got on Twitter, but it's on Twitter too.
Well, since you're going to post it on Facebook, let's just give a shout out to all of our Longwood alumni, because they will be tuned in watching as well. But that's what all started from. Like you said, mainly, like you pointed out, mainly in high school, though, when everything really started to kick off. Like you had like that maturity had to come in. You found out a lot of things about yourself that you didn't know until sometimes you may need someone to bring it out of you, or you just come across it yourself. But yeah, during that time, I learned a lot about myself. Still learning a lot about myself to this day. But definitely, I think like you was a feed of what you were saying. My biggest aspect in terms of being a leader feeds off it, just like you pointed out, it's basically me being someone that's easy to talk to. I feel like I always said, to get through certain individuals, now you have to you have to meet in the middle and see eye to eye and understand where the individual's coming from. Like, for instance, as a Marine, you may have to speak strictly and stern to, but then you might have someone who you have to be a little bit soft spoken. But in the end, I feel like you'll get to the same goal, and as that's basically getting your point and your word across by just learning how to communicate with people the proper way. Everyone can take harsh criticism at times or whatever. Some people you can't speak to them soft. Sometimes you gotta be loud and direct. So like for me, it all depends who you come across, and that's where you have to respect people for who they are and where they come from. Because everyone's brought up differently. Everyone reacts differently to certain situations and certain things you may say to them as well.
Yeah, and that's one of the things, like I said, that's most best about you is that you do listen and you don't give advice, but you empathize. And Gary Vee says this in one of his new books that he's written, 12 and a half. And what he hones in on for a great leader is empathy. And that is a quality, Jamel, that you've always had since I've known you. And I think that's one of the things that has brought you out to become and bring you where you are today throughout your entire career and your personal life is your empathy for us.
Right.
And so one of the things that you always say is, and I love this, so I want you to talk about this a little bit, is little progress is better than no progress.
No progress.
And where did you get this from?
It's crazy because I got that from Jeet. Sometimes I can be stubborn and I don't have the best patience at times. You know what I mean? And I had to learn a long time ago that sometimes things that you may build towards or want to come, they may not come as fast as you want. But as long as you're working towards them, no matter how much you put work, you put it in. If you're still working towards that goal, I was always told that little progress is better than no progress. Little progress, it may take you longer. It may take you longer than what you want at times, but at the same time, you're getting there. Rather than you just absolutely do nothing, and now you're just you're just stuck. So I'd rather make the effort, even if it takes a while, and may take some time. But as long as I know that I'm building towards that goal and getting there over time, I'll just say, hey, little progress is definitely better than no progress at all.
Absolutely. It is. It is. Like you said, being stuck is, me at least, and I know definitely for you, it's not an option.
It's crazy. It's funny. No, I'm sorry, G. I just had a friend yesterday. Imagine you said that. I just had a friend yesterday who that's stuck. And I'm like, listen, sometimes you might have to, would you rather, they have all these great ideas, but they're not moving. So I'm like, hey, sometimes you might have to lay your options on the table and start reading through which is your strengths and your weaknesses, but more importantly, which one makes you a lot happy. Because a lot of us, we have a lot of great ideas and a lot of us have great abilities, but at the same time, you can be somewhere and it's a great atmosphere for your lifestyle, I guess, you know what I mean? And it may pay good, but if you're not happy, you just, what's the point? So for me, even now after retiring from boxing, I'm still trying to do things that I find happiness in, or new things that I at least say I tried or attempted to do, rather than again being stuck in one spot and then being that person that says, I should have, or what would have happened if I could have. I don't want to be that individual. So for like I was telling with this friend, I was saying that it may not come as you may want it to, but if you get started on it now, it's better than when you finally get there. Imagine you saying the point when you get there and you're like, you know what, I'm glad I did start, because for a while I was just sitting there doing nothing. And I was just doing, time was just flying by. So for me, I try to use every day as much as possible. I try to do something. Like for example as well, I'm not fighting anymore, but I'm still doing ring sports commentating alongside with ESPN and Sky Sports. I just reached out to a few of my partners out in LA about, potentially do some screenwriting about, forming up a show where we're from, our neck of the wood in Long Island, where we're from, and I'm doing acting. So for me, I'm just trying to just jump into it. I may not be, the Denzel Washington, but at the same time, I'm learning and I'm growing, and I want it to a point where I can look back and be like, man, I remember when I started here, I was at here, but now look where I'm at now. I'm up here. So I'd rather get my feet wet now and work and be willing to learn and grow as time goes on in this new, in this new demographic.
So I love that you're talking about this right now, because this is exactly where I was in the head. You've had this great career, and I mean, I've watched you, Jamel, from underdog to world, to going into the Olympics, to world boxing champion, to your last fight, and now you're starting your. This is not the end. This is not the end game for you. This is just starting. You're starting right now, and your story is just beginning, and you've laid out the foundation for yourself these past 20 years. And so, what does the next 10 years, 20 years look like as a screenplay or an actor?
For me, G, I just take one thing at a time, one day at a time. But for me, I feel like the sky's the limit. I feel like I still. I mean, people like even now when I wrote my book, I didn't want to write my book. I didn't want to write the book. And the reason why I tell you that is because we spoke with it briefly the other day. I just felt like I have still a lot more that I want to share. But if anything, I'll say that the book is part one of my life. But for me, for the second chapter, I feel like the next 10 years is going to be filled with a lot of exciting things to come, and I think I'm gonna surprise myself in these upcoming years as well, because the stuff that I do now, I never even would have even dreamed of doing when you and I were kids. We were just trying to just get out of high school. I wasn't, I never thought, I wasn't at that time. I wasn't thinking about going to the Olympics and being a world champion and being number one in the world at one point, and so on. And I'm grateful. And the one thing about me, even with all these blessings in my life, I still managed to. I wouldn't say manage, but I still remain and stay grounded. And I'm the same person I was when we was in juniors and seniors in high school. So I always tell everybody, just to be grateful, because there's always someone out there who's either trying to take your spot, or they wish they can be where you're at. So just be grateful and just enjoy it while you're there, and be humble. But for me, the next 10 years, I hope, like I said, I want to see myself, maybe doing commentating full-time, full-time sports commentating with ESPN, or, maybe I'm acting more. Maybe I'm producing, I'm screenwriting, so you never know, but for the most part, at least, you can tell that I have my mind and options open, so I'm willing to go out there and work for it. So I'm actually looking forward to the next decade of our lives.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's gonna be. You already know, I've always believed in everything that you put yourself into, and
right.
The next 10 years is going to be exactly what you want it to be, because you have that grit in you to go after that thing that you want, and you're gonna get it. You're gonna definitely.
And the same, and I can say the same about you. I'm pretty sure you don't speak much of it about yourself because you're not that type of person. But I've seen you grow from quiet Jesus to the boss lady out here. I'm like, oh, gee, she's up, gee. But no, I'm happy for you. But like I said, you and I basically was in the same situation. Like, we was actually stuck at one point in our lifetimes where we didn't know which direction we were going, but we found our niche, and we stuck at it. We stuck at it, and we just kept moving forward. So I'm happy for you as well. I mean, even like we were just speaking before we went live that I even now want to get, because you motivated me to like want to go out there and actually do something in real estate, and just because it's something different. But when the way you break it down, yes, it's hard work. It's very hard work, and I commend you for that. But the way you break it down to people, you grasp their attentions, especially mine. You grasp my attention with it, and it's like, yo, you know what? Maybe I should try that field as well. And then I've seen you help friends that you and I both know, get their footing in. So, I mean, congrats to you, and again, continue doing what you're doing as well, Jeet. You're doing a great job.
Thank you. I want to cheers to that.
I ran out my
I know that was quick. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, because you're right. It took me a while to get out of my own shell as well, and get out of my own head. And like of all people, I didn't plan on becoming a real estate agent.
I didn't say that either. I didn't say that either, but you're doing it, and you're doing it well. And it's crazy because, I just had a thought in my head about, with certain people, they'd rather be just comfortable. You know what I mean? And when you're just comfortable, that means you really don't. You don't want to get out of your comfort, like you said, your shell or that comfort zone. You want to just stay where you're at because you just feel like I'm more secure here. But I'd rather be an individual that's failed time and time again, but at least I've tried over and over, and with every failure, it became a lesson, a life lesson. So, and I got out of that comfort zone, I got out of that shell, and I made sacrifices, and I took chances, and I took risk. And even if they didn't all pay off, at least you can look back in your life and say, I tried to do that, I tried to do this, I got into this a bit, but it didn't plan out the way it did. But you can at least say you did, because I think it kills you a lot more inside when you literally sit up at night, look at the ceiling, and you'll sit there and say, man, why didn't I? Or I should have did that, or I could have been where that individual is today, because I started around that same time they did. See, and I see that all the time. I see people that started even with the sports when I started, and now they're like, man, I remember when back in, when we started together, I should have just stuck with it. I should have, I don't want to be, and I never wanted to be that individual. I wanted to be the one to be like, if it didn't plan out, at least I tried. I went forward. Or, man, I'm glad I stuck with it, because look where we're at now. Look how far I've came. Look what I've achieved. Look what I've done.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love that, because you're right. It's the journey that you put yourself into, and you can never fail when you go to try something. I don't believe in failure. I mean, I know the school system teaches us, okay, this is a passing grade and this is a failing grade. If you this score, you failed, and it crushes children. I did a post on this just earlier, and I'm gonna have one of my mentors come on this show this month, actually, and she talks about your innate natural ability in your environment, how you would work. And it's called Kobe 8. Do more naturally. So if you were in an environment free of any judgment, free of any type of restrictions, how much progress would you get done, or production would you get done in your natural state of work?
If I was in a world where free with no restrictions,
a lot.
You would.
It would be like all of us would be top 8 children growing up in the school system, right? So I was in a training earlier today, and one of my things is I cannot sit in one spot and learn. I start dazing out, or I'll get tired, and either stand up and move around. And Kathy Tajanel, she's the one who's going to be coming on soon. I went to one of the masterminds with Bob Berg and her, and she gives me this little light up bulb. She knows my Colby. She goes, "You're gonna need this." I looked at her like, "What?" You're gonna need this because this is your Colby. She knows my Colby, my numbers. And before you know it, I'm like fidgeting with the ball and watching the light go. But I'm listening at the same time. Because that's how I learn. So that's like you talk about journey, talking about where have I been this past 5 years or this past week, and how much progress did I get to from point A to point B to the next one. And you just keep going that, okay, I made this much, next week I'm going to make that much, the following week I made it. And that's exactly what you did in your life, in your career.
Set goals. Set goals.
Yeah.
Set
steps.
Yeah.
I love that you mentioned all of that, because that's exactly what it is. It's like, don't look at what other people are doing.
Nah, you are the only person you should be really competing with is yourself. Really. Yeah. If you worry about what the next person is doing, you're gonna go crazy. Like when we were speaking about it, we were speaking about in your field, like there's individuals making 6 figures, but if you focus on that now, trying to you're gonna drive yourself crazy. No, but if you got a system that's working and you're getting to there, yeah, just focus on just being better than yourself than you were yesterday. Like okay, today I did this, tomorrow I need to go seek out for this, and so on. Those days when you keep adding, when you keep that mindset, those days turn into progress. Because you're always gonna feel like you were better than you were yesterday. And then when you look back on it from a year from now, you're like, man, I remember when I was here. Now, because I took it every day, I challenged myself and I stepped it up. Here we are now.
And I track yourself. That's what it is. That's what you're saying right now.
Keep tracking. Create your own progress reports. Keep track of your progress.
Yeah. I love that. So how have you been doing that in this past year?
This past year, it started off rough. I'm not gonna lie. It started off rough, but like I said, I do management with my partner, and good friend, close friend, best friend, my man out in LA, JC, Jerry. We do a lot of great things together. So we always, and my attorney and partner as well, Mr. Gary Gittleson. He's the one that actually motivated me to, like I said, get into the entertainment business with things at times. So like I said, it started out rough, but over time, and this is what I love about your field as well, because you can relate. Over time, when you have a solid team and a foundation that you can feed off of or build together with, it's a beautiful thing. So, like I said, it started out shaky and slow at first, but as time went on, things are not starting to pick up. We're just over the half-year mark, of course. We're in July, but I could say from July and January is two different different views outlooks that I'm looking at right now on things. So I can't complain, Gina. And like I said, I just came back from New York not too long ago. I had a good time out there, and really learned a lot of new things when I was out there as well. So everything I take, I try to put the great use and just move forward with it.
That's amazing. That is great, Jamel. And so for the audience out there, and I love that I'm going to pick up on that team building. That's a baby like banging on the door right now.
Hey, see, mine's upstairs. Matter of fact, my daughter might be coming down here soon. See, but this is my sanctuary. It was quiet, the man cave.
That's so funny. No, but so picking up on teams and building foundations and the solid teams, and I see that with you all the time with your whatever you're doing, and you have this, and I'm sure you learned this from the Marines as well. Is you have this brotherhood with your team, and you give some advice on how you do that? How do you keep your team together and move forward with them and be united?
You gotta be understanding. You can't just have your way. Everyone, like I said again earlier, everyone's not gonna think the same way you do. So you gotta like it starts with how we were raised as kids. Treat everyone the way you would want to be treated. Show everyone respect in order to get respect in return. You gotta give respect. You gotta give respect. So I try to give everyone the benefit of the doubt. You know what I mean? I try to because you see, G, I get along with pretty much anyone I come across because I give them that same respect that I want. I don't ever use. You never want to use your status or your title of who you are as far as a forefront in terms of to why you should be respected. No, you got to treat everybody like a human being. I treat everybody, the same as I would treat my mother and father. So with that being said, once you get that understanding, and if you get that same love, if you get that same love back in return, you'd be surprised what you may come across, especially the Marine Corps. Marine Corps. I'm from New York. Where we're from. So, but my whole entire life, that's all I knew until that point, until I graduated high school. I wasn't used to speaking with people who maybe from a different part of the country with a whole different outlook on life and upbringing, and different accents and different, stuff like that, and like I said, different religions. But like when I started traveling the world and I started seeing that people, you'd be surprised though how much you may have in common with somebody that may seem on paper completely opposite, but once you actually speak and get to know people, you may not only learn something new, but you may also gain a new friend during along the way. So for me, that's why I got a lot of friends, and because of who I am, not because of who I am, but because of how I am and how I respond to people. Like I said again, I've got friends in different places that I never would even imagine and dreamed of.
Well, you do have a lot of friends because of who you are. One.
Thank you, Gina.
Because you are a good person.
This is why we still cool. This is why we still close.
It is. It's because of who you are. You're an amazing person, and it's exactly what you said. That comes down to empathy and understanding people, and understanding cultures and religions, and respecting each other and their views.
Right.
Like you said,
of course.
we would look different on paper or as the media would portray other states and countries. But when it comes down to the human level and that connection, that's where you differentiate yourself, because you're communicating with somebody on that human to human level, and you're connecting with them. And that's what I'm hearing from you. That's exactly what you align with that.
And then for example, because you and I laugh at it all the time now, but I choose like you made a great point. Human level. We all come from maybe different backgrounds at times, but a good story is, man, this is over 10 years ago. With just me and you. When I came home, I'm in my dress blues uniform. You're dressed up, in your traditional garments, from India. And you and I walk into a store together, and then we're getting all different types of looks, but at the same time, like I said, because people don't understand or open their mind to certain things. Like for me, I was never closed-minded. You know what I mean? And before the uniform, the Marine Corps uniform, you and I were always been close, good friends, best of friends. So that's what I mean. Like for me, it's like the more you actually get to know somebody before you actually judge them by appearance, you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised, what you may learn. You see me every time you get to that hard Jeet level, I gotta tell you, hey, stop being in New York sometimes and just relax. Like you more New York than me right now. You gotta relax, G. Like But people wouldn't know that. People wouldn't know that. It's not a bad thing, but people, if they don't get to know you, they wouldn't know that because they're too close-minded. They might look at you and be like, "Oh, she was brought up this way, or she's raised this way." Like, yeah, maybe partially right. Maybe okay, she's Indian. You may figure she was raised this way, but as a person, you know, she actually there's more to her than what you may read in a book or see on TV. Like, man, you could sit there, we could speak about New York lingo all day, but people wouldn't know that. You know, people would not know they wouldn't because they didn't bother to get a chance to know you. But like people like me, who's had the honor and privilege to get to know you, was like, yo, Harjeet is definitely different than what I made the pick from turning on the news or watching a program or picking up a book. That's why, you know, for me, that's why I love coming across them people, because you may learn something, or you may have something in common that you would never may have thought of it or would have seen coming.
I'm so glad that you brought that up. Just this may just shift a little bit in what we're talking about. You reminded me of after 9/11, and this is actually it comes close to what we're talking about, because this is one of the reasons why I joined the Marines. And so after 9/11, I'm in Queens then. I was there. I saw the buildings fall. The next day we go to school. I'm in 10th grade. And one of my friends...
Wait. I'm sorry. You was there?
Yes.
I know we was in the same school and all, but you know, I was in third period. I was watching it on I was watching it on TV from Longwood in the high school and on global studies. I didn't know you was there that day. Like I was just watching it, man. But continue.
Well, I actually seen, you know, the smoke and building, and it was
that's wild. That's wild.
Every time we talk about it, it comes right in front of me. But I was in history class downstairs in the basement. We had 3 floors in a basement, and my class was in the basement. It was a history class, and I don't know if you remember, I used to sit all the way in the back. I was that student who sat in the back and
sat in the back, quiet. Don't let her fool you, y'all. She was quiet back in the day. Didn't bother nobody unless you spoke to her. Unless you spoke to her first, she wasn't speaking at all. I'm just putting it out there because this how me and you we got tight and we clicked. Like, you know, sometimes you made to do that. People open your mouth. Sometimes people, you know, you may be surprised what you may get in return. But yeah, you was definitely that student in the back, quiet and just steady yourself in your books. Did what you did, in and out.
Yeah, that's what it was. And I thought we were learning 1993, what happened, like the World Trade Center, what happened in 1993. Right. I had no clue this was actually happening outside right now. And we leave, we get out of the classroom. I see everyone like in panic mode. My cousin and I walk outside, and we see smoke everywhere, and the whole parkway is backed up. No cars moving. It was traumatic, but there was a purpose to this. The next day, one of my quote unquote friends said, "Oh, we heard it was one of your people who did it." And that's where and then of course you know how I get, so that's where that friendship had ended at that moment. I was 16 years old.
Like I said, 20 plus years, I'm still here because I didn't make those ignorant comments.
And it was upsetting because here you think that somebody is your friend, they know you were connected with them, yet they still had this like comment to make after this really horrible thing that happened that shaped the world. And you know, my dad used to work right there, and I was scared to death because we thought my dad was there. And luckily he didn't go to school. He didn't go to work that day. And going back to that year, we moved to Long Island, and that's when I started going to that. We met that year, and like you said, I was very quiet. and I wouldn't talk unless somebody else spoke to me. And when I did talk, the comments I used to get were, "Oh my gosh, I didn't think you would sound like you don't sound Indian. You don't sound how you look."
That is true.
And I still
she came to high school. She came to high school with the freshest Jordans on and the Timbs and everything. It was nothing that said Indian about her, but she was cool as hell. But respectfully, you still stuck with your roots. You stuck with your roots. Just like, but at the same time, it's like this. I give you a lot of respect because, you know, it's funny in this world. People, I was thinking about this today too. It's crazy. People will look at you crazy for not opening up to different things, and especially with cultures or whatever. But when you ask them to do the same for your culture, they look at you like you're crazy. You know what I mean? Especially here in this country, like it's okay for you to do to basically be Americanized, you know, to a certain degree. But at the same time, it's like with these individuals respect and love you for who you are. You know what I mean? Who you are and how you were raised. I don't know. See, you got me. See how you jinxed me. What's wrong, boo boo? But this is just life in general. Like, like for me, like you taught me some things that and got me reading stuff that I would never think about reading, but it just overall it broadens your mind. It opens up your mind more, and like I said, knowledge is wealth. What it doesn't matter where it's coming from. You might, like I said, I love to learn new things instead of being stuck in like you said earlier, a shell.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I was just. I think I froze. That's what I was just saying right now. Is in today's world, 20 years. We're talking about something 20 years ago, but yet we still see this today.
Oh yeah.
You know, we still see this today. And where is the change? When will the change come? It's like taking that action right now.
I mean, it starts with us. Honestly, it starts with us. It really starts with us, especially. I know the other people. You know, when we were growing up, they always say that children are the future. Well, we are the future here, but at the same time, we have to pass on these lessons and this knowledge down to our kids and the ones that people who look up to us now. So that's where the change, in my opinion, starts from. Because like I said, all these crazy things that you see in the world, they're learned from somewhere. But that doesn't mean that we can't be the opposite in teaching this generation now the right way to do things instead of going out here with all this chaos and madness. I feel like this. The same way you can teach negative things to an individual, you can sure as hell teach some positive things in the people as well. So there's no excuse. It's crazy, like I said, because I mean, of course, though, in the media, you're gonna, because it's always with a grasp your attention. So of course, the crazy stuff is what's gonna get you. But there's a lot of people out there. There's a lot of good people out there in the world doing a lot of good things. You just don't see it, but trust me, it's out there. It's just that, like I said, chaos and madness is what brings in the views and the numbers in terms of media. But yeah,
that's why I don't watch news.
I gotta at least have an idea. Need an idea what's going on in the world. But yeah, I mean,
of course you do. I mean, 5 minutes is.
But
good
no,
enough
I don't
for me.
blame you. But yeah, I don't blame. Yeah, I don't blame. I don't get too deep into things because there's always two sides to everything, especially with politics. I think it wasn't until social media started getting big that you started seeing just how you point out the story where you had a friend that you thought was that you was a friend with, and then the whole 9/11 thing happened, and then these crazy comments come. It's the same way even now when it comes to politics, and especially when election season comes around, that's when you really start to, and this is the thing also. I don't have no issue with people who disagree with me in terms of my views and ideology and things of that nature, but you don't have to be ugly about it. Like, you can have an intellectual conversation with someone and be at odds, but it doesn't have to get ugly. And that's the thing people need to learn as well. Like you can, like you don't have to. I don't have to agree with who you may be voting for or going with or their views, whatever. But at least hear me out and just say, well, I'm gonna give you that respect, to give you the floor to speak on why you think that this person is the right fit. Let me, you should let me explain as also why I feel like maybe this other individual is the right fit, or why I feel as your individual isn't my favorite. But today people get real easily agitated and annoyed, and that's when things get ugly. So that's why I really don't really speak with people as much as I did before in terms of things going on in the world. The everyone has a negative outlook, or they put a negative outlook on what you're trying to say.
Yeah. No, you're right. This is why I only watch 5 minutes, and then I go back to my books.
5 minutes, just 5 minutes though, like no.
5 minutes, but I love what you said. So, Stephen Covey, I got the honor to actually be on a call with him 2 months ago, and he wrote this book called Trust and Fire. And in there, he talks about, and this was a challenge that he gave us, Jamel, before the end of the call, was I had something, I think one of us had a question about negativity.
Right.
And rather than think of, no, actually, this was another mentor of mine. See, I'm sure Stephen Covey says this too. But rather than, and this is this is John David Mann who said this in another podcast that I was on with him. He said, rather than think about getting rid of the negative, don't even think of the negative, and add into the positive, that positive mindset, that lifestyle.
Right.
And naturally, that negative is going to dilute itself out of your world. Because now it doesn't become a thought. Because once it becomes a thought, then that thought can become reality. And so I just love that you, and going into that conversation, yes, is so much of that. But what we put our focus on is what we get then. So this is why I do. Yeah. And that's literally why I would put, like, yeah, you're right. We need to know what's going on. Like, I know what's going on in Punjab right now. I know what's going on in India right now, and it's not a pretty look. I know what's going on in our world right now in the United States. It's not a pretty look right now. But once we start putting our focus on that, what happens is that it starts to consume us, and we get trapped into that negativity as well. Advice on what we were just talking about, building that leadership skill, because you said everything it's learnable. This is a skill that we can learn. What advice would you give people to get out there with that empathetic view and perspective?
For starters, I'll tell people just get out there and actually listen. Listen first. Listen as to why certain things are happening in this world. Instead of assuming and placing judgment, just go out there and actually take time to learn what's going on in the world. You know what I mean? Instead of people will look at somebody or something and they'll automatically think that they always think the negative, or they put a negative outlook on it before they actually really get to sit down and really try to see what's really going on out there. So I just tell people before you place judgment, go out there and actually see, try to figure out what's going on before you really, and place a stamp on something that could be possibly totally wrong. Give people a chance. Give people a chance to actually, to do great things as well. Sometimes people have like low patience for others at times, and they don't give you enough time to get where you want to be, where you want to get to. Everyone doesn't move at the same pace. Same thing me and you was talking about in terms of about our own goals. I may not move as fast the individual to my left or my right. But you know, one thing I was always told was saying was it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. It's a marathon. So you know, meaning that I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna get there, but you know, I'm gonna get there at my own pace. You know, I'm not in a rush. I'm not in a hurry. You know, I'm gonna just work at my own pace and rate, and I'm gonna get there. So people just need to get, like I said again, people just need to just be more open minded and just you know, be considerate to others.
That's beautiful. It's not a sprint, right? That down. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. Don't look to your left. Don't look to your right. Just keep going, and you'll get to that journey of where you want to go to. And that is a beautiful, beautiful way to end today's show. Is that if you feel like you're stuck, or if you see somebody that's doing better than you,
right,
or if you're looking at yourself that you're better than the person next to you,
right,
quit that. It's a sprint. It's a marathon. Keep going at your pace through your journey. Walk through your journey, and you'll get to where you want to get to.
right.
Because that's your destination. So that was really nice, Jamel. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
It was an honor and pleasure to have you here today. And I got remember. And but yeah, this was fun. I love this. So again, I'm going to close out and tell everybody thank you again for watching. This is the start of season 2 for Jaw Time with Realtor Jeet. We have a lineup for June all the way up to August, and I can't wait to share the next few people that are coming. And I'm just so happy that I got to start season 2 with my best friend, Jamel Herring.
Thank you. I'm glad I got to be season 2, episode 1. I should have been season 1, episode 1, but we'll talk about that later.
All right, guys.